Hello and welcome back to Project Seawolf. If you're just coming back from Baudelaire Islands, I want you to know that I'm doing just fine, and in fact, better than before. My legs have both healed just fine over the course of a week and a half, and the hypothermia, I think, did something to my brain because I haven't had my normal migraines for a couple of weeks now. So I don't know what happened. Something shocked it, and I haven't had my migraines that I usually get once a week. So that's fantastic. I'm a free man now. So in this episode, this is a continuation of the State of the Project series, and we're going to be doing a State of the Project every year, which will go over what we've done and where we're going with Project Seawolf. So in this episode, we're going to focus on boats and boat shopping. But if you want to learn more about the route, a little bit more about the finances, and general overview, then you can go back to the State of the Project overview and the route, the circumnavigation route video that I posted after January 1st, 2022. But yeah, this episode is going to be about the boats that I'm looking at. The timeline for this currently, with my current finances, is that I'm looking at buying a new boat in 2024, and that boat's going to be my everything. It's going to be my home. It's going to be what we're going to use to sail around the world. It's going to be, it's saving up for a house. It's everything. So I have to keep reminding myself that this boat will replace rent, will replace homeowner. It's like buying your first house, except you can take that house around the world and work from it and do everything you would from a normal house. So that is definitely needs to be kept in mind to drive me forward in this project. Because I don't have a ton of money, we're kind of restricted by something called a budget. So that budget is going to probably be around $20,000 to $40,000. Although we're going to talk about some of my ideal choices that are $75,000 plus, all the way to $600,000. But the boats that I'm seriously considering will be going for $20,000 to $40,000. But before we talk about what boats I want to get, we need to talk about some of the key characteristics that define the boat and what has narrowed down my search results. The first thing I'm looking at is pedigree. What boats are people using to sail around the world, and what are their features? I'm definitely going to be looking for a full keel boat, a keel that's integrated into the hull at least, because that is much more solid than having a loose fin keel connected by bolts. Another characteristic I would love, but it's not required, is getting a ketch instead of a sloop. A ketch has two masts, a main and a mizzen. What you get from two masts is a backup mast if one of your masts fails. And something that you don't often consider is a ketch has smaller sails than a sloop of its similar size. So at sea or in a storm, sails are easier to manage single-handed. And for most of this journey, especially in some of the harder areas, it's going to be a solo journey. So having a ketch would be really, really nice, and actually a good safety feature, because then we would have emergency mobility to get to the nearest land, and we would be able to manage the sails easier. There's a couple of statistics that go along with the boats. The first of which is being the length. The length kind of indicates how spacious it's going to be. I mean, that's not always the case, but with cruisers, usually length comes with a pretty significant beam. There are more beamy boats out there than their length would entail, like the Baba 30. It's a very beamy boat, but a short boat, so it's quite spacious. It kind of looks like a floating circle. It's so fat. But and then the next statistic that we're going to be looking at is the capsize screening form. How safe is the boat? How likely is it going to right itself? How quickly is it going to right itself? How well is it going to do in storms? This capsize screening form is kind of a good indicator of that. So I'm using it to help score the boats. And on top of that, capsize screening form has kind of an agreed upon cutoff for blue water boats, and that's 2. So you want your capsize screening form to be below a score of 2. So all the boats that I'm considering are below a score of 2. To give you an idea, the Newport 28 is a 1.99, so it's just barely in the blue water range, but honestly, I wouldn't take it across an ocean. The next statistic we're going to be looking at is the comfort ratio. How much is it going to toss and turn in the sea? How comfortable is it going to be on anchor? These are some things that are really important for my new home. So I'm going to be working from this boat, and I need to be able to work in rough conditions. So a good comfort ratio is also indicative of something I'm going to be comfortable with living on for a decade or more. So a good comfort ratio and a good capsize screening form are both great indicators of a boat in my range. So let's start with the budget boats. The first set of budget boats that I've considered are the Baba 30 and the Tayana 37. The Baba 30 runs for about $20K. I've seen it for sale in the Puget Sound for $20,000, and it has a capsize screening form of 1.77, so a little high, but it's still well within the blue water range. It has a comfort ratio of 33.38, which is excellent for a 30-foot boat. It's insane for a 30-foot boat, and I think that comes from its beaminess. The Tayana 37 can go for around $50K, but there are some rundown boats that go for less, so I'm hoping for that, honestly. Another thing to consider is that I'm fully expecting to have to tear up the deck. I'm fully expecting to have to re-rig the entire boat. If I get a boat with good bones, I'm willing to redo a lot of it and work on it. It's gonna be my home. I'm gonna be on it full time, so it's not a big deal. I need to. And the only boats that I'm gonna be able to afford are not gonna be pristine. They're gonna be pretty run down. So, that's what I'm looking at. The Tayana 37 has a capsize screening form of 1.65 and a comfort ratio of 41.11, so very significantly better than the Baba 30, but also more than twice the price. Also, it's a really beautiful boat. It's like a log cabin inside. It's very comfortable. My friend Tim, that we sailed to the San Juans with, if you go back to those episodes, don't have music, but there's some beautiful views of his Tayana 37 in there. And man, what a great boat. It'd be a fantastic cruiser. When we got to Friday Harbor in the San Juans, I got a tour of a Gulf 32. Gulf 32s can go for $40,000. Probably the biggest perk of a Gulf 32 is that you can sail it from inside. It's got a full pilot house. It's at like a hard body pilot house. It's got great motors, diesel engines, and it's trusted in high latitudes. It's just a really rugged boat that people are taking across the ocean, despite it only being 32 feet long. The capsize screening form is fantastic, 1.59. That's amazing. It's better than the Tayana 37 somehow, and the comfort ratio is higher than the Tayana 37 as well, at 44.4. The biggest drawback for the Gulf 32 is that it's not very spacious inside. That big pilot house takes up a lot of space, and there's nothing underneath or behind the pilot house because that's it's a motor sailor almost. It's got huge engines. There's not a whole lot of living space in the Gulf 32, but it would be an excellent boat regardless. The Rasmus 35 is one that I've been looking at, and it typically goes for pretty cheap at $20,000. The capsize screening form for the Rasmus is 1.75. and has a comfort ratio of 29.36, so the statistics are not that great for the Rasmus 35, but it might be my only option in the budget when it comes time. I hope not, but I'd settle for it. Another boat to consider is the Yorktown 39. I believe my friend Dan has one that's a cement hull in Anacortes, and it has okay statistics. The capsize screening form is 1.76, and comfort ratio of 31.7. It's got a ton of space, center cockpit, and it can be in catch, I believe, which is a huge plus for me. And the scores are not great, and I don't like the cabin layout that much. The main area is not as big as it could be, and in the aft cabin you have to crawl through a space to get to it. So it's really difficult. It would be a difficult boat to live with, but I mean it's better than the Rasmus at around the same price, so I'd take it. The last of the budget boats that I know of that I'm considering is the Hardened Seawolf, which is hard to pass up. There's one for sale in Hawaii for $40,000. It's 41 feet long. It has a capsize screening form of 1.61 and a comfort ratio of 44.81, so a little bit better than the Tiana 37, its predecessor. But it's from the 80s. It's an old boat, and with fiberglass boats, after 50 years, they start to disintegrate. So it's right on the edge, but man, what a beautiful boat. It's got a flat back like the old Age of Sail galleons, and it comes in ketch form. So, I mean, it is a ketch, I think. I've never seen a sloop version of it, so it would be just a fantastic boat to have, and it matches the name of the channel, so, I mean, it's hard to pass up a Seawolf. Some of the ideal boats I'm looking at are the Halberg Rossi. So, Halberg Rossi 42 usually goes for around 100,000, capsize screening form of 1.69, comfort ratio of 37.3. So not the best stats, but I appreciate the quality, the craftsmanship of Scandinavian built boats, being Scandinavian myself ancestrally, and they're built for high latitudes. So I trust things that are built for high latitudes much better than I trust things that are built for the tropics, because I need to be able to trust my boat at high latitudes. Some of the other boats that I'm considering that are way outside the budget is the Columbia 50. Capsize ratio of 1.52, comfort ratio of 47.05. That's the best score on my list. It's fantastic. And I've sailed it before out of Olympia on Magnolia. So if you're interested in seeing more of the Columbia 50, take a look at that. The Oyster 56, ML Super Maramu, Helis 54, Beneteau 57, Morgan 45. These are all fantastic boats. The Morgan 45 can go for within my budget, but it'd be hard to find. There's one for sale in Olympia for around 60,000, which is still 20,000 over my budget. But the capsize screening form is 1.51. The comfort ratio is 44.4. So it's right in the perfect range for a Bluewater cruiser. Now, the ideal boat, I think, probably would be a Pacific Seacraft 44 or Pacific Seacraft 40. Those things are built like tanks. They're built for high latitude sailing. I just appreciate them a lot because of how much time I've spent on the Dana 24, Pacific Seacraft Dana 24. So I'd really, really like to have a Pacific Seacraft. So that's all I got for monohulls. As far as catamarans go, I've looked at the Lagoon 440, but I'm really not that interested in multi-hulls because they can turn turtle. And we're going to be heading off the coast of South Africa to go to some islands in the middle of the Atlantic. If you're more interested in that, take a look at the route video. But yeah, no, I need to really make sure that my boat can survive a broach and recover from a broach easily. And I just don't trust catamarans. They break up, they turn turtle. So I'm seriously only considering monohulls in the 20,000 to 40,000 range. So if you're selling a boat, if you've got any more ideas about what kind of boat I should get or what model, and you've taken a look at my videos and you know what I'm looking for as far as liveaboardable ability, budget, and what I'm going to be doing with it, and you keep in mind my budget is 20 to 40,000, then yeah, by all means, let me know. I'm relatively new to buying boats and sailing. Well, not sailing so much, but buying boats is a new experience for me. So please do let me know what I should be looking for and what models I should be considering if I didn't mention them here. And let me know if you're selling your boat and would sell it to me. So thanks for watching this episode of Project Seawolf. This is the last installment of State of the Project 2022. And until next January, that'll be it for this kind of video. We're going to be doing a lot of sailing, a lot of adventures in the meantime. And if you feel like supporting this channel and possibly getting us sailing a year or two earlier, take a look at the support button down below and share the video. That helps the most, getting this channel off the ground. So thanks for watching. Thanks for considering helping me. And yeah, really looking forward to getting this adventure started.